Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the Neca Friday the 13th Ultimate Pamela Voorhees. This is Jason, the main killer in the Friday the 13th franchise's mother. I ordered this at the Neca store. It arrived today, so let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, they were warned, they were doomed, and on Friday the 13th, nothing will save them. Friday the 13th Ultimate Pamela Voorhees. Here's the front of the package, sort of her silhouette with the camp in the background. Friday the 13th on the side, other side, pretty much the same thing. At the back, here's the figure with a bunch of different interchangeable parts and display options. At the bottom, there's her barcode, if that helps. This is one of NECA's Ultimate figures. You can hear the Velcro is open up. On the inside flap, here's Pamela post up, and then here's the figure with all of her accessories. So with no further ado, let's open her up. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here she is with all her accessories laid out. She comes in quite a bit of stuff. We have 4 alternate hands, totaling 6 interchangeable hands, 4 heads, a bow with 4 arrows, a knife, a machete, an axe, and a paddle. Before we tailor all that, let's talk about and check out the figure. So this is Pamela Voorhees from Friday the 13th Part 1. In the film, her son drowned, and she blamed all the camp counselors for having too much sex and not paying attention. And then, when they reopened the camp, she went on a killing spree. It's kind of a ridiculous premise to start off this franchise, but that's what it is. Now, Pamela here looks like the ultimate Karen. Big sweater, smiley face, and then all these freaking out faces on the other heads. I think it's a really cool idea for a figure. If you're a huge Friday the 13th fan and you want to have the killer from each of the different films, you're one step closer. Me, I love getting new characters. Originally, I just wanted to have one good version of Jason, but of course I have probably about 3 now. At one point, I believe NECA made an 8-inch retro cloth version of her, but that didn't interest me. I wanted a 7-inch Ultimate version, and it is finally here. So let's take a closer look. Starting with her face. Short, old school mom hair. She looks like a freaking Karen. Looks like somebody you're not going to have a good time interacting with. Then we have the sweater. The sculpting detail is pretty nice, and so is the paint job. Looks like single jointed elbow, single jointed knee. She's got pants a little bit wider at the bottom, not quite bell bottoms. She got this little sheath for her knife, and if that bothers you, you want to use her for just a regular Karen, you can rip that off pretty easily. The sculpt is good. The articulation looks a little limited, but she definitely doesn't need to be a Spider-Man type of super articulated action figure. That is kind of a hideous face. Definitely gets the point across as being this Karen. And she's so much of a Karen, she will kill people. And a closer look at her face and head sculpt. That smile, the eyes, the hair. It's well done. It does not look like someone I really want to talk to. And then, here's the figure, broken down as far as she can go, with all of her removable parts detached. Now let's check out her accessories. Let's start off with her hands. She has a total of 6 hands, 2 left hands, and 4 right hands. Here she is, with her first pair of hands. These are a pair of default hands. They would look good relaxed at her sides. And here she is with her next pair of hands. This is a pair of gripping hands. And she has 2 additional right hands. This is a gripping hand with a much smaller grip. And here's her final right hand. This one has 2 fingers extended to use her bow and arrow. Now let's look at her heads. She has 4 of them, all with different expressions, all with different Karen expressions. Here she is with her first head. This one has the sort of forced Karen smile. Here she is with her second head. Looks like she's getting frustrated, unable to bottle it in, about to go nuts. And then her next head, she has this half smile, looks like she's sort of biting her lip. And then her final head, where she's screaming and probably committing bloody murder. And then here, with her final head, this is Karen in her natural state. Now let's look at her weapons. She's got this broken paddle. Paint job's pretty good. You can see it sort of simulates wood, and it's broken off here at the end. Then we have this large axe, wooden handle, metal blade. Looks like a little bit of blood on it. And here we have this large machete. And then a smaller knife. Here she is holding that paddle, about to stab you with that broken end. And here she is holding that axe, which she can hold with one hand or with two. Then, holding that machete, and here, holding onto that knife. She can also holster her knife into the sheath on her hip. Now for her bow and arrows. We have 4 arrows, only one has the actual head on it. And then we have 3 different color schemes. Looks like green and blue, green and red, and then white and blue. And of course, we have the actual bow. Bow here has a nice wrap where you can hold it. The paint job is pretty nice. And then it has this sort of stretchy wire, so you can pull it back and release the arrow. Very well done. Just be careful when you have stuff like this. It's pretty easy to break the string or break it out of there. Here's Pamela holding that bow and arrow. If these hands were hinged instead of going forward and back, up and down, it would make posing this a lot better. Now that I've taken a pretty good look at the figure and her accessories, let's check out her height. From bottom to the top of her head, standing about 6.5 or 6.6 inches tall, which can translate to just under 17 centimeters. And for her articulation, starting with her head, of course you can rotate side to side. She can look up and down about that much. I feel like the head sits maybe a little bit lower than on the neck than it should. You can't really see her neck when it's in the normal position. You can tilt her head from one side to the other. She does have articulation both at the top of the neck and the bottom of her neck. Shoulders and a ball joint goes about 90 degrees. Up, down, around. She's got a single jointed elbow, which goes in a little bit more than 90 degrees with rotation. Her wrist can rotate and it's hinged as well. Torso is one solid piece. She's got a ball joint in her waist, rotate around, forward and back. Legs, complete as a splits, ball joint there as well. They can rotate independently against the ball joint. They can go forward about that far, back not at all. Single jointed knee with rotation. And her ankle, forward and back barely at all. Rotate, tilt, rock the tiny bit as well. Here's a look at Pamela Voorhees in front of a cabin at Crystal Lake, about to go on a killing spree. Now let's start her out next to some of their action figures, starting off with some of their NECA figures. Here's Pamela Voorhees next to her son, Jason Voorhees, from Friday the 13th, Part 2. Then, with Jason from Friday the 13th, Part 3, sporting his signature look with the hockey mask. Next, the killer from Friday the 13th, Part 5, which turned out not to be Jason. And now, with Jason from the 2009 Friday the 13th reboot. Here are all the NECA Friday the 13th figures that I have from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and reboot films. Here's Pamela, next to several NECA older horror icons, Universal Monsters figures, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, the Wolfman, and the Mummy. And here she is, next to some more modern horror icons, Michael Myers, Pinhead from Hellraiser, Ghostface Killer from Scream, and Freddy Krueger. Now to check her out with some other recent NECA figures that I've gotten. Here she is next to 3 different Ultimate Beetlejuice figures, and Pee Wee Herman. And here she is next to Ardith Bay for the Mummy, the robe version of the Invisible Man, Michael Myers from the 6th Halloween film, and a couple versions of Leatherface from their 50th anniversary releases. And finally, with a couple of recent comic Ninja Turtle figures, April O'Neil and Leatherhead. Now let's check her out next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how she fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix her with. Since she's a NECA figure, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work way smaller. But first, let's check her out with some of her NECA brothers and sisters. In front of you are 5 different action figures, all from NECA Toys, all 7-inch scale, and now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures, and some Diamond Select toys. Here's Pamela, next to one of my wife's scented candles. And here she is, with some McFarlane and DC Direct figures. Then, with both some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures. And now, with some Mezco and Mattel DC figures. Next, with some Maplex and Hasbro Marvel Legends. And finally, with some SH Figure Arts and Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, she's a pretty cool action figure. I want to call her Nancy or Karen, but this is Pamela Voorhees. The sculpt on the sweater is great. The accessories are plentiful. Face and head sculpt, it looks good. It looks a little weird, but she was not exactly the most normal looking person. Her articulation is on the limited side, but like I said, she doesn't need to be a super articulated figure. Sculpting job, pretty good. I think the head sits a little bit too far down in the neck and looks a little bit odd. If it was just a tiny bit higher up, you can see more of the neck, it would look a little bit better. If I were to rate this figure, I think I'm going to give her a 7 out of 10. Now, she just looks like such a Karen. I think I'll put her to such good use. I can see her in all kind of different memes and action figure sort of photography and different cameos and etc. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.